Mr. Mancha, you here?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, go ahead, Mr. Jacob, we'll go ahead and check roll.
Okay.
Or call the meeting to order so we can check roll.
Yeah, okay. Commissioner, would you please check the roll?
Give me the names.
Okay, Gary Jacobs, present.
If you all can identify yourself, that way we can say your name and
Rick Garza is present.
Pancho Evo, present.
Mancha present.
Pancho Evo present. Mr. Mancha present.
Present.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Joaquin Rodriguez present.
Dennis Gutierrez, present.
We have 5 members, right? Yes. Okay, we got a quorum, Mr. Chair.
Okay. JJ, I didn't get the agenda, so if you want to
Sure, I'll follow it here.
go ahead.
After roll call, any approval of the minutes of September 21st? There were some minutes. Go ahead.
I never saw the minutes.
Okay, it was sent in the minutes, but we can come back and approve the minutes. They're attached in the emails, gentlemen. I don't know if you all got them or not.
Attached to the email from you?
Yes, sir.
Let me see.
From the invite.
My email from you has a calendar.
It has the agenda and the minutes.
Yeah, I see it. I didn't see it earlier, but I see it now.
Did everybody else get it?
Okay. I've read the minutes. I approved. JJ.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, well, the minutes are okay with me. I don't know if you want to vote on them.
Yeah, somebody to vote on them. Make a motion. Somebody make a motion to approve the minutes?
Yeah, and it was seconded.
By who?
I'll second, or I'll move that we approve the minutes.
Rick Garza. All right, well, it was seconded by Mr. Garza. And I think Mr.
All those in favor say aye.
Joaquin Rodriguez, aye.
Roberto Mancha, aye.
Rick Garza, aye.
Okay, and the minutes are approved.
Okay, got approved. All right,
Go ahead, JJ.
next one is public comments. I don't think anybody signed up for public comments. So we'll move to the fourth one is items for discussion with possible action. There's nothing for possible action to be voted on. I think we already, last month, we voted on the name of the street. That's what needed to get approved. So there's nothing for items for possible discussion. The next one is staff report. Number one being the traffic signs that we want to put out there. To start off as we get closer to the golf course, we got to come up with our wording so that Mr. McGee is ready to put up there. I know we had said, that we wanted to put, the less wording there is, the bigger and more visible it can be. So just, wanted to get y'all's, final input to see what y'all think. This screen.
Are you gonna put up the,
Yes, I'm gonna try and put up the screen, sir.
okay,
Just a minute. Can you see it right now? Can y'all see it?
that's pretty bold, golf course 6 miles.
Yeah, no, I'm just talking about the wording, we wanted, this is a 4x6 sign, that's as big as we can put. Do we want to put the max, golf course 6 miles, or this is the one that's 6 miles away? And then the other one that he put, let's go to the next one. Yeah, it's in the- Yeah. As you can see the screen?
Yeah,
Okay, so that's the one that's, to be able to keep that size, that's what text dot, he said, was what allowed the size that we can put. But as you can see, the fonts are smaller because we put the max municipal golf course 6 miles. The less words we put, the bigger the fonts can be.
I don't know, Pancho, what do you think?
I don't know, what are your thoughts too?
Either one's okay with me. I mean, the max municipal golf course, I don't know, Dennis seems an adequate size to me, but it is bigger if you just say golf course 6 miles, but I don't know.
Personally, I think the sign that says the max municipal golf course 6 miles would be better than just putting golf course.
For sure.
I agree with you. Jay, do you have an opinion?
If we take out municipal,
I think that's the best, leave the name the max. I think we've talked about it before, how, the max is kind of what we've gotten used to calling it. Just remove the municipal and that'll, enlargen it still, but it still gives you some identification.
That's a good idea. The max golf course 6 miles and make the letters bigger.
okay. I like that. I think that makes it, that bring the font size, he said, we take out municipal, that bring the font size up to about 3 inches bigger, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. So it's gonna say the max golf course,
6 miles.
6 miles.
I agree.
Okay. Can we take a vote on it just to be, make sure we make it official?
Okay, Gary votes for that. The max golf course 6 miles.
Need somebody to second and take a vote.
Second. I second.
Who second?
I did, Rick.
Okay.
We can see Roberto.
Mr. Rodriguez, did you vote?
I vote aye.
Aye. Rick?
Aye.
Everybody fine? Okay. Mr. Chair, vote motion passes. Okay. Our next on the items for discussion is the mobile food unit that has been that has been, talked about or discussed, or there in the, I think by the Greens. Dennis, you want to bring that up a little bit?
Idea is in case we ever hit a situation like this where the restaurant has to be closed, we would have already a mobile unit, and it's just something like you see outside, not a food truck. It's smaller. They run anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000, and it's just basically like a mobile restaurant. Not only could we use it at the golf course during tournaments or situations like that we are in right now, but we could also mobilize it and take it to, let's say, at Tecolotes games just to showcase the Max, maybe give out some free merchandise and have people taste the Max burger, maybe get a little more interest in people saying like, "Ooh, I want to go now to the Max." Just something different, but it would help in a situation like this where the restaurant, for whatever reason, it gets closed again or if the pandemic continues. I think we're getting some feedback from if everybody can put it on mute first, and then we can come up online individually with
Everybody
unmuted,
put on-
so we can
everybody
see
put it
where
on
the
mute.
issues are.
There might be two people speaking in the same room with audio. That's where the feedback's coming from. So if someone's using a computer and a phone at the same time, that's no bueno.
I think, Mr. Mancha, were you on your phone?
I muted them all. The entrance signs is a. That's
Yeah,
fine.
they want all signs.
All right, I think we got that.
Okay. They voted on Max.
No, that's the street,
That's,
the actual street.
that's
Yeah,
the
they just want the sign, because you got the
Yeah.
max.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's.
Yes. Just to confirm, I'm sorry, my secretary, we have voted the street is gonna call Max Way. Is that correct? That was what we had decided on.
What was that again, JJ?
The street entrance was gonna be called Max Way. That's what we had decided on. That's what committee had decided on. Correct?
Well, I wasn't a part of that meeting, but I think Gary would know.
Gary, I think you're muted. Oh, there you
Okay,
go.
go ahead, Mr. Gary. I unmuted you. Go ahead. What were you saying?
That was the name that was voted on at the last meeting, and it was approved in the minutes earlier today.
Correct. Max, capital MAX space WAY.
Correct.
Okay. All right, because we're gonna start putting up the signs up there. Okay, so Dennis, anything else on the food truck? You were saying you wanted to, as far as the
Yeah.
purchasing, do we have something, Dennis, that we can buy or are you looking into?
Yeah, we've looked into it, and it runs anywhere from $3,000 to $6,000, and we would station it kind of by the driving range. It would take advantage of our young students that go practice and all that. They could get a hot dog. It would help during tournaments. I don't know if you heard earlier when I was talking, it was a little bit of reverb, but I would also work as a tool for marketing when we would, let's say there's a Tecolotes game, or we go to the outlets and park it out there and touch other people that have not heard of the Max yet by giving out, selling a hamburger or giving out a hamburger and having some merchandise there, and actually giving out some marketing tools or discounts or coupons so that they have a chance to go visit us.
Is it a golf cart?
No, Mr. Jacob, it's kind of those little, I don't know, like maybe you see outside of Walmart that says Coca-Cola, and they're giving out Cokes and maybe a hot dog and all that. We would just have a minimal menu there, but it would be,
What is it? Is it a trailer?
yeah, it's more like a trailer. You can hook it up to a truck and mobilize it. I think Mr. Garza, we had spoken about something more permanent, but I think this would alleviate that. And in the situation, hopefully we don't come across a pandemic, situation again, but it would allow us to have the restaurant and more visible since we're closed right now. The golfers kind of tend to say like, "No, I'll just get something on the way home."
I just want to understand what it is, not the sales pitch on how you're going to use it. So does it have a cooking grill? Does it have a refrigerator? Does it have an ice box? What is it?
Correct. Yeah, you could actually buy them already prefabricated with whatever you need. They're a little more expensive, or you could put
Picture.
the stuff in there as
One of the
as
yellow-
you as you feel what you need. You could put a fryer, you could put the plancha, what they call the plancha, propane tanks, fridge. Just depends how much what the menu's gonna be.
Well, so,
I have a picture of the one we have, Mr. Jacob, very similar with, I have it in my phone. I'm gonna put up on the screen and see if y'all can see it, okay? Just a minute. Maybe what he's talking about. We have one here at the Parks and Rec that it's kind of like an indoor kitchen that we hook up in the back of a truck. Only two pictures. I don't know if you can see this or not. So there's a little trailer there,
yeah,
and then it's got the little kitchen built in there. I don't know if you can see that.
okay, that sounds great. Why don't you just give it to the golf course?
I second and third and fourth to that motion.
And there's refrigerators in there built in and all that stuff. So that's what we use for it. There's another picture of the indoor kitchen. I don't know if you can see that or not.
So you can get all that for $6,000?
So high end, we weren't looking at that nice, but yeah, I mean they go anywhere from 3,000 to about 12,000, just depending on how much. If you put a microwave, if you put a deep fryer, if you put a big fry, just depends.
But then you're gonna need a generator, right?
Yes.
Location, yeah, you would need a generator.
Right, yeah, this is run on a generator.
Well, okay, this is just me personally. I like the idea. I hate the noise of generators. I think it totally destroys the golf experience to listen to a Briggs and Stratton motor running. So if you're gonna do a generator, it has to be in a sound shield, it has to be really quiet, or I wouldn't do it. Maybe the best thing to do for the golf course is an ice box with a lot of ice in it, and a butane or propane kind of cooktop or something like that. But if you're going to add a generator to it, I think it'll be noisy and bother people.
You're correct. We would handle the cooling or the stuff cold with ice, and propane would be the way to go to keep it noise friendly.
Right.
How secure are those things?
Say again?
How secure are those things? Because, you don't want to have it broken into if somebody knows that there's food in there.
Now, we have it here in the yard, Mr. Averill. We have it here in the yard. We lock up on both sides. They're bolted down. I mean, we're over here on the rough part of town. We never had, over here in Piedrachina, we never had anybody broken into or anything like that. So long, they've got locks, bolts and everything. So to this moment, knock on wood, we never had any trouble as far as trying to damage it or anything like that. I think maybe they're at the max. If they store it right, maybe we could put it, if they do decide to go with it, we can probably store it. They're close to the barn on the side, so whenever it's not being used.
It wouldn't hold food on a daily. It wouldn't hold food overnight. It would just be okay. Bring whatever we need for the day, cook it, clean it, and then store everything back in the kitchen. Or we went to an event, same thing. Take it out there, take whatever you need, and then bring it back and empty everything back into the freezers and the fridge, and clean it before you lock it up.
So Dennis, today the clubhouse is still closed, correct? Dennis. Hello,
The clubhouse is still closed.
Dennis, are you on?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yeah. So right now, the clubhouse is closed for food service. Is that correct?
We do to-go service. We the menu's still available. We have a pandemic menu, if you want to call it, where it's more of burgers and sandwiches and all that. But you come up to the makeshift pro shop that we have downstairs in the cart barn like we used to when we first opened, and they can place their order and then we deliver it to them.
So then, I don't understand the advantage of the $6,000 investment if you're serving food to everybody already.
This was brought up before the pandemic, and it was more in a marketing sense, or in a Saturday, Sunday, you would put the grill out by hole number 10 or by the driving range, just so that people could smell the burgers and smell and get more of, I guess, an idea of what we're serving, and so that they could order a hamburger or a hot dog at the turn. Since right now, most people on a Saturday and Sunday, they don't want to lose their spot from hole 9 to hole 10 to come up, pick up some food, take it back. But now that we've gone into the pandemic, everybody's kind of gotten used to curbside. So, we get the phone call on hole 7 or hole 8, and we meet them on hole 10 or at the turn and give them their food. This was brought up. The idea was probably like in November or October. We had talked about it. That's where all this spawned.
Well, I mean, I think the golfers would have to decide. Since we're on such a tight budget, unless the golfers really wanted, I probably would spend the money on the sand traps. But if it really enhances the golf experience and golfers will eat from this trailer, well, that's a different story. I can't address that.
Like I said, we were just kind of fiddling with it, and it would also help. We were talking about the marketing aspect of it, where we could paint the Max sign on it and show it to, like, let's say a Tecolotes game or a high school playoff game that the city's hosting, and park it there, and it would just give us exposure right there at the entrance of the unit trade, where it's like, oh, the Max, that's right, there's a golf course there, and they would come get a burger. Maybe in the burger there's a coupon for $5 on your next round, and there'd be shirts and caps there that they could also purchase. It was more of a marketing tool than when we hit the pandemic. We thought we could kind of utilize it for this aspect of it, but I think people have gotten used to the whole curbside, and you know what? We understand that the restaurant's closed for certain reasons, and we can still order from the phone or on the golf cart.
But is the intent that once the COVID has subsided, that the restaurant will be reopened, right?
That's correct. That's the plan, hopefully.
So this is an investment to be used temporarily for the Max, and then, like you said, possibly for other events, right?
Yeah,
So-
go ahead.
So, I mean, I guess what my question would be is that how much were we bringing in the restaurant to be able to justify an expense of how much did you say that it was? 12,000?
Anywhere from 3,000 to 12,000, just depending on what you outfit it with. The idea was more of creating an experience to where you're driving on between hole 9 and 10, and you don't want to take the time to go over there, and you've got the cook making burgers and tacos and hot dogs there, and he would drive by and say like, "Oh, this is perfect. Let me just pick up some tacos." It was more of creating an experience and then kind of tagging it along with, okay, well, we can also use it for marketing purposes at events.
Okay.
Dennis, can you possibly bring up a cost, of a total cost to see what, what kind of model you're looking at? So maybe the committee can.
Yeah, I've shopped them around online. I'll put a slide together. That way, on the next one, we can look at them and say, $3,000. It's pretty much going to get you what you need, or let's go to 9,000. I don't see us going more than $3,500. We can get some used ones out there, and then we just slap a nice Max logo on both sides so that it showcases it. And again, this was just something, I think, Rick, we had talked about it before, on the weekend, stationing it there between 9 and 10, maybe on the range, just to kind of create a better experience for the golfer. The layout is kind of weird, and our golfers don't like to come all the way back up to get food. We just figured this would be a nice touch for them to feel like, man, I can just go around the corner. And we've actually been doing it. We've been doing it with a tent.
So Dennis, excuse me, do you think you could get maybe a little competition between the beer suppliers and the beverage suppliers and have somebody donate it with the benefit of them having only their brand logos all over it?
That's actually, I've spoken to Southern distributors. They have something very similar. They're checking into the TABC laws because I think they cannot give it to us. I think we would have to purchase it from them, and this is where we could maybe purchase it for $1 or something like that. It's a Coors Light one that they have, but TABC laws are very weird. I didn't even think about it until I brought it up to them, and they're like, "Oh, wait, we gotta check the TABC laws on how we can work that out." But yeah, it's something that we could definitely look into.
Or Coca-Cola, Pepsi, it doesn't have to be liquor, you know, that somebody, I'm sure they have them, and we don't need a new one for accomplishing your purposes, but maybe you could get one a lot cheaper than $3,500.
Yeah, I'll definitely look. Pepsi's with the national brand that we have to carry per whatever agreement we have. So I'll definitely reach out to Pepsi. And you're right, they might have one there somewhere. Then we just need to maybe buy maybe a propane grill and have some ice chest in there.
Yeah. Okay. Next, JJ?
Okay, I know this is staff report and, it's not in the agenda, but we're not gonna vote on, just an update. Dennis, I know we got the new sand that came in. Can you tell them what traps are being worked on? We got some new sand that just came in, for the greens.
Correct. We kind of got stuck when the pandemic hit, and we were maybe 7 to 8 bunkers away from completing the renovation of the bunkers. So I think we received most of the sand that we had allotted for on yesterday, and they're already working on bunkers. Bunker 6 being the main one they're going to work on, the green side bunker, and then they're going to go from there. The only one that's left that Thomas just kind of want to get a feel from the golf committee is 11 because it's so big. I mean, on its own, it would probably be $15,000 worth of sand. He's got several options, and maybe we can put that on the discussion table for next meeting, where he says, well, maybe we do some things that he's, I guess, done in the past with other bunkers in that situation, or we decide to just, okay, let's do it all. He just needs some feedback on that.
That bunker, I measured it last time, I kind of, with my little pacer there, that's about a 75-yard bunker. It's about 75 yards, isn't it? I mean, that's why.
Maybe longer. Correct, because it goes past the 150 marker, so about the 140, 135, and it starts over here by at least 225.
By the girls' tee box almost. Okay, so the sand that we have right now is not for that. We should have enough, but not enough for that bunker number 11.
He'll get to like what he did for Border Olympics, where he gets to the area where most of us land, excluding people like Rick Garza. Most of us land in that area, but
Right.
so he's got that taken care of. So he's gonna wait and see what this whole lot, how much he's gonna need, and then he'll have a better idea on how much more it would cost to finish that area out. Because to be honest with you, not many people land in the first 50 to 60 yards. It's a little further down.
Other than putting new sand in the bunkers, what's he doing to the bunker?
Well, there's other things he could do in other areas. A lot of golf courses have been experiencing trouble with bunkers, and they grow grass. It still feels like a bunker.
That's not my question. For all the bunkers he's repaired,
Correct.
I've never heard what he's doing other than dumping sand in them.
No, he goes back and cleans out the sprinkler system or the drainage system. He goes and makes sure that it's still able to get through. So what has happened is some of the dirt gets in there and it gets clogged. So he goes back in there, unclogs it, and makes sure that water can flow through it again. And then he goes back and resurfaces it with sand.
Okay. Well, my suggestion, gentlemen, would be not to alter the Robert Trent Jones design on the bunkers.
Exactly.
It's a signature course. If we're going to modify the design of bunkers, we'd have to get them back involved. But I wouldn't start fooling with changing the design of the golf course, because that's what you paid for, you know.
But Dennis, all they're really doing is they're not reconfiguring the bunkers. They're just working on the drainage and packing down the sand, right?
Exactly what they did for Border. They're kind of going back, clearing the drains, make sure that the drains aren't clogged, the ones that are, to unclog them, and then resetting the sand. And then
Gary, that wouldn't change the.
Well, no, but a bunch of what he was talking about was on 11. That's a big bunker, and they were talking about modifying it so they didn't have to refill the entire bunker with sand. And I'm objecting to that.
No, I agree with Gary on that one. Is that you would have to request permission from the Robert Trent Jones, because if not, if you change anything, they could pull the plug on it being a signature course.
Exactly. Yeah, that's my opinion as well.
Dennis, have we gotten, do you have an idea of the price, what it would be to, for that one? I heard you say like 12 or 13,000 or something like that?
He's gonna find out with the sand he's ordered now. He's gonna finish the ones that he, feels that are right by the green side, and then he'll go back and reassess how much he needs for that and how much he has left, and then he'll let us know.
Okay, what's next?
Okay, that's it, Mr. Chair. Just now, is any items for next meeting that you all would like to hear, that we can put them in the agenda, or bring, if you have any concerns, maybe we could put it on the agenda, and, I know we had talked about, for Dennis to give us a cost estimate for the trailer that he wants to put, the food trailer, to see how much it will cost. And then anything else that you all want us to follow up on for next meeting, and schedule the meetings. I think next month's meeting falls in Thanksgiving week, if I'm not mistaken, if we keep the same schedule. That way y'all can decide, we can decide on a meeting day.
JJ, I don't remember, I don't want to repeat and bore everybody with it, but did I give y'all comments from my friend who's chairman of the Greens Committee of the San Antonio Country Club when he visited the Max?
Did you give, no, I don't recall, Mr. Jacobs.
Okay, so about a month ago, I took an architect friend of mine to see the Max. He's designing the houses that are going to go in that subdivision that they're doing on 17 and 16. His name is Ken Bentley, and he's a really great golfer, great architect, University of Texas grad in his 70s, plays golf all over the United States. But anyway, he chairs the Greens Committee at the San Antonio Country Club. So he'd really never paid any attention to the Max. I thought this was interesting from a marketing point of view because he lives in Terrell Hills in San Antonio, but he drives all over the place to play golf with his buddies. They get invited to tournaments and stuff in West Texas and different places. So I said, well, I want to put you in a golf cart and drive the Max with you. He was totally blown away. He couldn't believe it. He said, all the money we've spent on the San Antonio Country Club, our fairways, our greens, don't hold a candle to this course. He says, this is the best kept secret in Texas. So what did that tell me? We're missing the boat. I'm not criticizing Dennis at all. I'm just saying we're really missing the boat on marketing this course. And JJ, my suggestion is when Horacio was, controlling the budget on the course, he and others cut out 2 women who the Conventions and Tourist Bureau hired. I can't remember their names right now, but they have a golf PR company in Connecticut. And they were the ones that got all the publicity and got the Max and Golf Digest and all the magazines early on. They did a really great job. And then they got fired. And when they got fired, that's when the course won the best public play golf course in Texas 3 years in a row. That's when it was rated in the top 40 golf courses in the country for new build golf courses. That's what they do. So their retainer was not very much. It was a pretty modest amount of money. And when I hear Dennis in good faith saying, well, look, let's spend between $3,000 and $12,000 to get a little food truck, I think we really should go back to these women and say, we would like a proposal from you to re-engage you to publicize the Max and pick the markets that we want to target and see how much they charge us. But they were very good at what they did. And then we lost all contact with them.
Mr. Jacobs, my secretary just mentioned that I can't think of the names. I need to, she just reached out to us not too long ago through an email. I will definitely reach out to her and, see what cost, you know, what was the cost or what kind of, programming or what they do. I need to search my email, but she did reach out to us not too long ago, and I will meet with them, and then I will bring it up to you all next meeting, so I can tell us what we spoke about, okay?
Yeah,
And,
I think if you explain to them that we're on a tight budget, but they loved the golf course, they loved working with the city of Laredo at the time. I think they were very productive, and they're well respected by golf periodicals, and you know, kind of the industry likes them. So I think we could maybe do a small budget with them, something, and see what they come back with, and the committee could evaluate it and see if we want to recommend it. But it might really increase the visibility of the golf course with other golfers in Texas. Pancho, I don't know what you think about that.
And I agree. I think a schedule for the greens for the winter.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, you were muted. Yeah, I just heard the back end of that. Can you repeat yourself?
Is there a schedule for the greens for the winter?
Okay,
I can bring Tom on the next call. He can join us and he can kind of give you that schedule. Finally, this year, we were able to aerate in October. We've never been able to aerate in October because it's our busiest month. We usually had the Laredo Builders, the Laredo Realtors, the United USD Scholarship Tournament, and then followed with a bunch of high school tournaments. But given the situation with the pandemic, this year he got the green light to go ahead and aerate early October. Right now, we're already 3 weeks in and it's almost fully recovered. But I'll go ahead and schedule him with us on the next call so he can give you his schedule
Maybe
for the greens.
maybe get it written down, and that way the information can be disseminated to everybody. Because you know he'll come in and he'll talk, and everybody has to write it down. But if he could give us a schedule of what you know he's already, are you going to oversee it or not?
No, we've never overseen it.
Okay. All right. Well, just schedule what's going to happen.
Get Tom on the next call. The last item, JJ, that I wanted to bring up to everybody that I mentioned before is the proposed routing of the offensive border fence that CBP and Corps of Engineers let a contract to a company called Southwest Constructors from Albuquerque. So, you know, I negotiated for our surrounding land, and I spent a lot of time with the Corps of Engineers team, about 20 people. And, you know, what I proposed to them was, instead of building a 30-foot high bollard fence in the Vega and blocking the views of the river from the clubhouse, from the 9th green, and from the 15th green, that they should build a retaining wall at the bluff where you're standing right there at the clubhouse where that wooden fence is, and you'd look down and you'd look 30 feet down, but that would be a sheer concrete wall, accomplishing their enforcement goal. They're transfixed on 30 feet. And the engineer that's a consultant to CBP and to Corps of Engineers, his name is Quillman, rejected it out of hand because he designed this ridiculous bollard fence that works in Arizona and California, but has absolutely no applicability whatsoever to the river along between the Columbia Bridge and the Pico Water Plant. It's really a stupid design. So I'm bringing it up here because I think the committee should let each of our city council persons know that government destruction of the views will alter in a very negative way the entire golf experience of the Max. In other words, the the Robert Trent Jones design uh, incorporated magnificent unobstructed views of the river. They can accomplish their enforcement goals and do it a different way so they can keep all the indocumentados they want out, same thing. Maybe it costs them a little more money up front, but it'll cost them a lot less money in the long run because when the river floods, it's going to eventually erode that bollard fence. And the footing for the fence is only 7 feet deep. So 2 floods and it'll be floated, sections of it will be floating down the river and it'll knock out the pilings for the Columbia World Trade Bridge. And we won't have any activity on that bridge for 2 years while they're rebuilding it. Of course, they're in such a hurry to do all this and nobody's in charge. So it just kind of goes in one and out the other. But I think if you're in agreement, each of us talking to the council person who appointed us and saying, look, take great care how they do this along the max, because otherwise they're going to ruin it. They're even talking about putting the 30-foot bollards about 30 feet from the tee box on 5, knocking all those mesquite trees down. That creates that whole ambiente for the course there, where the cart path going to 4 goes down into the Vega a little bit and meanders through those trees. They'll knock all that out. Their current design totally destroys the 9th green. It has to totally be rebuilt if they do what they put in the RFP. So I just think if you agree, we're going to tell our council people, hey, please pay attention to this, because it's on the mayor's radar screen. All he is concerned about is building a retaining wall downtown by the outlet mall and getting a helicopter hangar, which I'm opposed to, at the airport. That's their total focus. They're pretty much, the mayor seems to be giving everything else away if he can get those 2 things. And you know, I think I told you this before. I've put a prohibition in our gift deed that the city can't give any of the land we gave the city away, period. Now, the government can condemn it, but the city can't voluntarily make a deal and say, here, we're going to give you this land, go do these other 3 things I want you to do. That can't happen. I guess it could happen if I waive it, but I thought about this 11 years ago and wrote a prohibition that they can't give it for the construction of fences or walls. Anyway, we don't want to fight with anybody and get into lawsuits, but the city really does need to be proactive in protecting the integrity of the design of the course. Of course, the government could say, okay, we're just going to go ahead and destroy the whole golf course and write you a check. I mean, if they were vindictive, you know, that's what they could do. But that's not the position they're taking. The Corps of Engineers and CBP is taking a position where saving the max. So in good faith, the people in Fort Worth think they are. But actually, they're destroying the views. And destroying the views, I believe, is material to the design of the golf course. I don't know if you agree or you don't.
I, for one, am totally in agreement. Um, you know, last month we all wrote a little letter to our councilman, and we were supposed to get some sort of action from the committee, so that at least we can get these people to the table. Totally disappointed in the way they reacted, and they pretty much tabled it for this month. Well, it's this month already. And I don't think I see anything on the agenda items that they're putting out there that says that we're going to talk to us or talk to the Corps of Engineers. So I think we need to reinforce that, JJ, and say, are we going to be on this so that we can be heard? And or what is it? Because the only thing that we did was just ask for direction from the council to give Robert Eads the opportunity to pick up the phone and get the Corps of Engineers on a meeting with us so that we can at least have some dialogue. And that didn't happen. I, for one, wrote an email to Henry Cuellar's office in DC to try and see if he's heard of anything like this. I didn't get a response yet. I'm sure he's, doing other things, but I needed to get this thing because there's an urgency to this that we need to bring forward, and we need to continue to yell as loud as possible about this to the people that represent the city. Because if we're not going to get it from internally from within the city, we really need to get these, elected officials to hear about this, because it's going to be a travesty, and it's just going to be something that we're going to look down upon later on. And I know that some people are not going to regret it. I certainly, personally, I will regret it, because we're here to provide a service for the city, an oversight, if you will, and we just need to do our best to try and get out there and get it done.
Very well said. I totally agree with you. I appreciate very much what you've done. I mean, it is about the aesthetics and the beauty of the whole experience out there. So I thank you very much for doing that. And I've talked to Eads, but he's got a lot on his plate, I guess. But I mean, it's really important, or they're just going to do what they want.
Rick, to answer your question, as far as getting the agenda, the city councilman will need to want to be putting on the agenda, and then I think the best bet will be like Mr. Jacobs, to talk to your representatives and put it on there, so they can put it. I know last time it was brought up, it was kind of, I think we actually had the meeting that day, and then had a meeting that afternoon or something like that. But the next meeting is November the 2nd, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, November 2nd. So maybe we can, you can talk to your councilman, we can put in the agenda and be heard.
So to bring everybody up to date, so what happened at the last meeting, the coalition of landowners along the river that the mayor has a problem with, because the mayor is really worried that we're going to piss off Customs and Border Protection, and they're going to take their 4,000 employees and send them all to El Paso, and Laredo will lose 4,000 jobs. That's never going to happen, and that's not where we are. In other words, we support Customs and Border Protection and their missions. That's not the issue. The issue is they've designed this wrong for the water plants, for the city parks, and for the golf course. The design is wrong. So we should speak up, just like was just said on this call. I mean, that's really it. If we just keep our mouth shut, nothing will happen. So at the last meeting, the Landowners Coalition, which is really being led by the Faskin organization and IBC to a great extent, asked to put a couple of private landowners on a committee that the city would set up, so that every time there was a meeting with Customs and Border Protection or Corps of Engineers, the private landowners could also participate. That was rejected by the city, which, okay, but they did set up a committee that is Mercurio, George Altgeld, and Bali. And the instructions were from the city council that those three people have to attend any meetings that the staff has relative to the location and construction of the fence or the wall. I don't know if they've had any meetings, but that was the result of the last meeting. But I just urge everybody to reach out once again and let our voices be known that this is a really important element that could destroy the beauty of the golf course.
Well said.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Chair, I know that's the last one on our agenda. Next thing will be adjournment, and to adjourn. Unless anything else you want for next meeting, so that we can added on, sir? Or anybody from the committee?
So I thank everybody. Move we adjourn if there's nothing else.
Jay, just to keep it at the forefront of our discussion every single time, include an item on every agenda until we get, I think until we're comfortable enough to understand that, they're doing something downtown about this. You just put on the agenda, just the wording that we're forced to discuss this issue that we're talking about every single time, just so that we can continue to keep it as part of our monthly conversation as we move forward. Because right now, after I hang up, I am going to call Bali or Merck or somebody to figure out, to try and push to get this thing on the agenda for next month or for November, yeah.
November 2nd is the next one.
Very good
Okay,
idea.
so that we can get some sort of discussion. Then once we get some information from them with the results of that meeting,
Okay,
it'll already be on our agenda to discuss in November. And the results of the city council meeting will be on that, so that we can, any loose ends that they left that were undone, we can go ahead and take it from there and take it one step further. And that way we can always keep it there until apparently either we're heard or it either dies and we can have it on record.
Great idea.
okay, so that will be under items for discussion with possible action or more staff reports, because we won't, not really more for voting, it's more for just a staff report, is that correct?
I guess.
It would be- Yeah,
But
it would
unless
be
there's
under
anything
items
else
to discuss.
we need to put together as an agenda item, once we hear the city council meeting.
Well, and it isn't, I guess, it's a good point, Rick, is one of the, one of the roles of this committee to make formal recommendations to the city council? Is that part of our mandate? I think it is. When the committee was set up, JJ,
That is correct.
Yes, that's correct, yes, sir.
so why don't we vote right now on what Rick was saying, that, we somehow express how important this routing and construction technique is to the integrity and long-term value of the golf course to the citizens of Laredo and to the city, to its tax base, to everything. So, just a statement that comes out of the committee. And I can't remember all the things that Rick said, so we don't forget about it, but is that something we're prepared to do?
Yeah, I mean, we can, as a recommendation committee, I can take it up to city management and tell them, and then this is what the committee is recommending, and then once the city council members want to put it on, yeah, y'all just need to I can make the recommendation. The only thing is that we don't have a quorum right now, because somebody logged off, I think. I think Mr. Rodriguez logged off. There's only 4 of you, it's Mr. Mancha, Mr. Rick Garza, Mr. Averill, and yourself, Mr. Jacobs. That's the only thing to make it binding. But we can. I mean, as far as putting the agenda every month, we'll put it on there, and like Rick said, till you all want some type of answers.
Well, it's a shame that we don't have a quorum, because it is important. Every 30 days that goes by, trust me, that they're moving 100 miles an hour to try to spend the $1 billion as quickly as they can spend it.
Well, the next one is November the 16th. We can meet before, have our monthly meeting November before the November 16th. Something has to be posted before the 13th of Friday. So maybe we can meet the Thursday of November 12th.
Well,
We can schedule the November meeting, make sure everybody's on board, and it's in there, so we can go into the November 16th meeting.
Well, that day works. Is that okay with everybody?
yeah, I mean, even if and anytime, Jay, don't hesitate on this, because we're pretty much on Zoom. you can always call a special call meeting, and so long as you have the 4 days to post. If you want to do another meeting next Friday, you can do so. You can, all you have to do is go to the city secretary's office, say you're going to have a special call meeting for that one item only. And if you need a vote, that way you can call everybody in. If you need something done before the regular board meeting, you can, if you time it with enough time, you can call it a special call meeting, and everybody can jump in and just one agenda item that you can just vote on, and then have it ready so that you can submit to the city secretary's office, and they can do it on the regular board meeting for the council.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And it doesn't have to be Zoom. It could just be a conference call.
Correct.
Right,
Correct.
okay. So,
But go ahead and schedule for the 12th anyway, but
okay, yeah, that'll be good. That way we can get more information. We'll schedule on the 12th. Thursday, the 12th. That's 2 weeks from now. Okay? If, 2
3
weeks from now. At 12 o'clock, so that we can put it on the next, vote on it, and then even if it's just for that special item or anything else, maybe we can add Tom can get on board as well to give us the schedule. But that way, we can move forward and then pass it over to city manager's office. We can put it in the agenda, and city secretary.
you want to invite maybe on that November 12th, members of that committee, Mercurio, Bali, and Altgeld to join us.
Mercurio, Mr. Bali, and who was the last one, sir? I'm sorry?
Altgeld,
Algeld, okay,
or anybody from the council that wants to join.
okay. All right, well, we'll reach out to them and send the invitation and just I will call them and let them know that the concern, and hopefully they can join us that day on November the 12th. 12 o'clock.
You know, maybe you could also you could ask them, Riazul Mia,
Yeah, okay,
city manager, and has Parks and Rec under his jurisdiction, along with
right.
waterworks and all these areas. All that river frontage is on him, you know.
I'll invite Ria. He oversees our department, like you said.
Yeah,
Get Ramon Chavez also.
he's a very, very good man.
Okay, I'll put Ramon in there as well, Rick.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay, thanks, everybody.
all right.
All right, guys.
I guess the meeting was adjourned a while ago because we don't have quorum, but we'll get all this done, gentlemen, and we'll set up for November the 12th at 12 o'clock. Okay?
Thank you all.
All right, have a great day.
All right, thank you all.